So, all handymen are scumbags. We all know that right off the bat. They don't answer their phone. They don't show up. They won't even come give you an estimate. If they do give you an estimate, it costs way too much. If you say yes to the estimate, if you let them gouge you, then when they do show up, if they show up at all, they show up drunk and stoned. They don't know what they're doing. They do half the job and then they disappear and never come back and run off with your money, amongst many, many, many other things. So these are all things that are in the comments section of one of my previous videos about there being no work, which, by the way, there's plenty of work. The video was more about some handymen experiencing that, and who knows, maybe a lot of these comments were accurate. Maybe that is one of the reasons that there has been less work for some handymen. So what I want to talk about on this video, a little bit of what I want to talk about is just a plea from me to you that if you're watching this channel because you're trying to start and run a handyman business, please don't add to that bad reputation, because unfortunately it is an earned reputation. And I know it's an earned reputation because I'm always trying to hire handymen, and 9 times out of 10 they don't work out, and they don't work out for those reasons and many, many other reasons. But the fact that I can't find a good, reliable handyman who will do good, honest, solid work for a fair pay, the fact that I can't find that tells me that everyone else in Tucson who's looking for a handyman is probably experiencing the same thing. So no, they don't have a lot of sympathy for the fact that we have less work. So what this video is really going to focus on, though, is let's talk about what is a handyman. I think one of the biggest problems we have right now is we have this big umbrella term of handyman, and it doesn't mean just one thing. So anybody who calls themselves a handyman is a handyman. So what is a handyman? Let's start all the way at, should we go to the bottom or the top? Let's start at the top. If you guys know, there's a guy, unfortunately I don't know his actual name, but there's a guy that has a YouTube channel. He's got like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. His channel is The Handyman. So he has a contractor's license. He was once a contractor, may still be, but he calls himself a handyman because that's the industry that he's operating within right now. But at this top tier, you've got a contractor's license, you do know what you're doing, you are a professional, and you're doing a lot of very large jobs, like renovating entire basements and turning them into humongous family rooms, or you're completely remodeling a bathroom, completely tearing out and putting in a new kitchen with a contractor's license, done the right way for a very good amount of money. That's the top tier. That is a handyman. Now let's jump all the way to the bottom tier, which is what most people think most handymen are, is somebody who has no job, can't get their shit together at all in life, and the only thing they do for a living is they just go around calling themselves a handyman, working for, let's say, 20 to 30 bucks an hour, doing unskilled labor. And what I mean when I say unskilled labor is literally unskilled. Labor that requires no skill whatsoever. Moving boxes from the house to the shed or the shed to the house, cleaning up a yard, changing some light bulbs, stuff like that. That's the bottom tier. Well, there's a lot of tiers in between, and the problem is that if this guy is a handyman and this guy is a handyman and all the people in between are handymen, then what do we mean when we say handyman? So I'm going to tell you what a handyman is to me, the type of handyman that I try to be, and the type of handyman that I hope y'all are trying to be. So first of all, we're going to knock out everybody who's not a business, because this channel is the Bulletproof Handyman Business channel. So everybody who's not a business, if you don't have an LLC or an official sole proprietorship, if you don't have a business license, if you don't have business insurance, if you're not doing this full-time and functioning as a business, in my opinion, all of those are not handymen. Those are just unskilled labor. Some of them may be skilled labor, but they're just laborers. That's all they are. This is not a career for them, so I can't count them, and I'm not counting them when I talk in this video, because the assumption, again, is the name of this channel is the Bulletproof Handyman Business channel. So we're only talking about businesses. But even once you get to that business side, you still have a lot of the problems I talk about. So let's go to the bottom of the business side. At the very bottom of the business side, you have basically the same guys that I just pushed out of here that maybe they're not. So maybe if you're an actual business but you're at the bottom of the tiers, maybe you do have a business license and you are doing this full time, but you're still functioning like everybody else. You're not taking it seriously. You're not calling people back. You're not answering the phone at all. You're giving estimates or you show up to give an estimate and then you never even get back with them to give them an estimate. You don't know what you're doing. You're not trying to acquire new skills. You're just showing up and kind of hacking everything. And guys, there are a lot of these out there, and I mean a lot. I had one guy that I hired. I believe I may have met him even through this channel, actually. In fact, yes, I definitely did. I met him through this channel. He's one of the first guys I hired who approached me because he saw this channel and was already in Tucson and could tell I was in Tucson, so he reached out. Let me tell you one of the things he did. We had a sliding screen door, right? And the sliding screen door had torn screen and just wasn't in good shape. And the guy, the way he talked, had me believing that either he knew what he was doing, or at the very least he was an intelligent enough person to watch some YouTube videos and figure out how to do stuff. And that's what he told me he was going to do. So when I ended up getting rid of him, at the time that I did that, I didn't even know this yet, but one of the jobs he had done 2 or 3 jobs back that I didn't go back and check on, because I do follow behind my guys when they're new usually. I went to the same property for a different issue like a week after I let him go, and the guy told me, he's like, hey, can you look at the screen door too that your other guy did, because I don't think it's done right. So I go out and look at the screen door. This is a sliding screen door on a patio. Because the screen was torn and the frame was bent, what this guy did was he went and he got frame building material for building a screen on a window, the 3/8 stuff. He got that and he screwed it to the frame of the slider door and then just stuck some screen in that. Guys, it was disgusting. It was embarrassing and it was disgusting. I couldn't believe somebody from my company had done that. And the way that he had sent the pictures to me when he was done, quite intentionally, I could tell after the fact, the pictures were taken from such an angle and in such a way that I couldn't tell. That's a lot of what's showing up to these houses. That's the bottom tier. That's the people that maybe they got a business license and maybe they are trying to be legit, but they're not even trying to do good work. So that's the bottom tier. The next tier up, I think I'm going to say, is somebody who is licensed. Let's say a licensed plumber, licensed electrician, licensed roofer, you can get contractor's license. A lot of people don't know this. A contractor, there's not just a general contractor license or no license. An electrician's license, a plumber's license, a roofer's license, you can get them for fencing, you can get them for all kinds of things. And those are also contractors. They're just specialty contractors rather than general contractors. So the next tier up is going to be a specialty contractor who has his license, who knows what he's doing in this one specific avenue, but he doesn't really know what he's doing outside of it. But he's not making good money here, so he expands out what he's doing and he says, hey, I'll also do general handyman work. But again, the problem comes down to when they do that work that they're not specialized in, when they go to do that, they don't try to do a good job of it. They don't really know or want to know or care to find out how these jobs are done properly. So instead, they just hack it. And I'll use the same example I've used a million times. I go to do a towel bar that's loose in the bathroom, and I take it out, and I find that it's screwed into expanding foam because the last guy that was there needed to fix that towel bar. So instead of doing the job right, for example, I use toggle bolts. And there's not only one right way to do these. There are many different right ways to do the same job. And there are many different wrong ways to do the job. But I'll tell you what's not the right way. I'll tell you what is a hack, coming from a handyman who doesn't care, who gives us all a bad reputation. The wrong way, for sure, is going to be filling that hole with expanding foam, waiting 30 minutes or an hour for it to dry, and then putting screws into that. I think we all know that's not going to work. I think the person who does that knows that he's a hack, knows that he's hacking that job, and just doesn't care. Now, I try to not make fun of people's work on this channel too much. I have in the past because sometimes it's just too damn obvious. But I'll tell you something, I don't have any sympathy for somebody who's agreed to do a job for somebody for a certain amount of money, and within that agreement, there's the implication that you're going to do it right, that you're going to do a good job. I come from a background where you keep your word, you do what you say you're going to do. And no, maybe you didn't say, hey, I promise not to fill the hole with expanding foam, but when the agreement was made for you to do the job in exchange for money, the understanding between both of you always is that you're going to do it the right way. And that's not the right way. So we get our reputation that way a lot too. Now the next tier up, I'm going to say, is me. I am not licensed in anything. However, I'm very good at most things. And here's the important part. I know what I shouldn't do. And now there are jobs that I shouldn't do. For example, I shouldn't tile a whole house. That's going to require more research than I have time for me to truly do it the right way. I mean, truly, the layout of tiling an entire house where everything's going to go through all the doorways, all the bathrooms, living room, kitchen, everywhere. It all needs to line up. It all needs to be square. It all needs to look right. You don't want little slivers by the wall. You want the floor to be leveled out in advance. There's so much going on there, and I know a lot of it because I do watch a lot of YouTube, and I talk to tile guys, and because I do tile repairs. But I know that I shouldn't tile an entire house. I will never take that job. I'm 42. That's not a skill that I'm going to get under my belt before I grow this business to the point where I don't need to be the one doing the work anyways. So I don't do jobs I shouldn't do, and I don't do jobs I'm not legal to do, but the jobs that I do span across all of the different trades. I'm very good at them because I've done them a lot, because I've been doing them since I was literally a tiny child growing up in a working class blue collar family in Texas. But I don't do jobs that I shouldn't do, and if I do a job, I do it the right way. Now, another caveat is sometimes I get asked to do jobs that I've never done before that I don't know anything about, but it works the same way as everything else. I go research it. For example, I have somebody right now who wants to convert. They've kind of already converted a garage into it's a giant bedroom because it's a giant garage. Well, now they want to turn it into like a little additional dwelling unit. They want to add some cabinets and a kitchen sink and stuff. So I'm having her go and have a plumber come out to get the permits and everything to make sure all the plumbing is done right and to code and permitted, because I'm not a plumber. I don't add plumbing like that because that's not my specialty. But she wants the floor to be a concrete floor. She wants a cement floor in there to be stained and epoxied. I'm probably not going to do that. And the reason I'm not going to do that isn't because I think it's too hard for me to figure out. It's because I have a lot of other stuff I need to be doing, and that's not a job I need to take on. Now, if I was slow, or if I was, let's say, 30 years old and was planning on being the one with the tools in my hands for the next decade doing this business, I probably would do it. But what I know right off the bat is the cement isn't going to be ready. I'm going to need to rent a machine probably that's going to flatten that cement. And I know that I probably don't have the skill to go in and flatten that cement out in such a way that I don't mess it up. And I can't afford to mess it up. So right off the bat, I'm going to be letting her know next that I'm going to take a look at it and I'm going to talk to her about what I think may or may not happen. But I'm going to be honest and upfront with her and say, hey, this isn't something I have experience with, although it is something I think I can do. However, you should know here are the risks. And I think that you would be better off hiring somebody who has experience doing this. But if you do want me to do it, I will give you a price. And I will do the best work that I can do. Sorry, guys, the wind is kicked up here for like 3 days, and I have got so much congestion, it's insane. I'm talking about like 30-mile-an-hour winds all day out where I live. But anyways, so that's the tier I'm at. I'm not licensed in anything at all. I'm not a contractor. I don't have the skills to do a lot of very, very large jobs. And I'm not ashamed to not have those skills because I'm not here to be the master handyman who knows everything. I'm here to tell y'all how you can run a business doing this with whatever skills you have, right? So finally, the next level up is the handyman. He's actually a contractor. He does know what he's doing on even the very, very large jobs. He's built new homes, or at least been in charge of those new homes being built. So those are the scales. And I guess the bottom line of this video is I really, really need for y'all to understand. One other thing. I need to add a thing. Falls into all of this. Pricing. You can be the guy that has no skills, really. That's just the unskilled labor. There's nothing wrong with that. but you are going to need to charge less to do that. I think the biggest problem I've seen that everybody's upset about, and I think this is a legitimate issue that they're upset about, is these guys showing up and they don't want to take a job that's less than $1,000, or they don't want to take a job that's less than a full day job for them where they can charge whatever that max rate is for their day, right? I'm in a position where I have people approach me who are willing to pay literally almost anything. They're literally willing to be gouged if I will just do their job because they can't find anyone else. I don't do that, and you don't need to do that either, because as a lot of the commenters pointed out, which I think is legitimate, just because times are good right now, just because you can charge far, far, far more than a fair rate for your time, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I know I'm going to get a lot of angry comments from actual tradespeople in here as well, because a lot of y'all do think that just because the market will bear it. Because I say all the time, the market does set the rates, right? But the market isn't setting gouging rates. What the market's doing is setting higher rates than we're used to. But gouging is always gouging, guys. There will always be somebody who's desperate enough to pay you just about anything to fix something that needs to be fixed. But it's not okay to just gouge everybody all the time for a year, stuff as much money as you can in the bank, and then hope for the best next year. That's not how you develop a loyal client base. That's not how you grow your business over time. That's not how you're bulletproof. It's just not. If you're the type of person doing that, please feel free to go ahead and comment that you think I'm wrong and that whatever the market will pay is what I should charge. Go ahead and feel free to comment that, but just understand that that's not what this channel's about, and all you're doing is increasing my engagement rate. So I do hope you do comment. By the way, if you like what I'm saying, go ahead and comment something positive and increase my engagement rate, because this YouTube channel someday is also going to be something like a business for me. So if you can help me out, like, comment, share, etc., but you don't have to. I'm happy to provide the information either way. Now, what I'm going to end this with is I think I've been pretty clear about the fact that the word handyman, I wish we had a better word, something like multi-tradesman, but we just don't have a better word. But I just want to ask you guys to not be that way, to not do the shit work, because everybody's capable of it. And speaking of everybody being capable of it, I want to start putting this out a lot more now. I'm getting a lot closer with the Masterclass. It's still a month or two out probably, but there is a link in the description where you can go to click to request my free documents. I don't know if I've specified on that link that it's also to reserve your spot for the Masterclass, but I do think that I have a sponsor who's going to sponsor it so that y'all don't have to pay anything. You won't be paying anything either way because there's no paywalls here, even if it costs me a little bit of money, but I don't think it will. I think I've got the sponsor for it. But you can reserve your spot in that Masterclass, and if you'll go reserve that spot by clicking that link for the free documents and the Masterclass, if you go reserve your spot, I can use those reservations that I can actually print out in a CVS file to show to potential sponsors to say, hey, if you will sponsor the class, look, there's actual real people who are signing up to take it. So I'd appreciate it if y'all would do that. I'm going to teach you in that class literally everything you need to know from the very beginning to the very end, from coming up with your initial business name before you ever touch a computer or a piece of paper, coming up with your business name, all the way through getting your first clients and actually getting paid. This class will take you through every single step of the way to get you to that point. You can go reserve that, again, by clicking that link down in the description of this video for getting the free documents, and that's also where you sign up for the Masterclass. Otherwise, just do me a favor, guys. Be out there every day being a professional, being a business, being a handyman business, and not just a handyman. So other than that, I hope y'all are out there killing it, and I will see you on the next one.